I want you to picture this. You're cleaning out your kitchen cabinet. Way in the back, dusty shelf, forgotten corner. You find a jar of honey. No lid date, no sticker, just golden amber syrup sitting there, completely still, almost glowing. And you think, this has to be garbage. You've thrown out milk after 3 days, bread after a week. Even those crackers you bought 6 months ago? Done, trashed, gone. But this honey? Something's off. You open the jar. No smell, no mold, no slime. It looks perfect. How is that possible? Here's something even wilder. In 1922, archaeologists cracked open an Egyptian tomb, 3,000 years old. And inside, they found honey. Edible honey. Not a fossil, not a relic. Actual, edible honey. Turns out there's a brilliant reason why honey never dies. Today, we're uncovering why honey is essentially immortal, how its chemistry creates a natural force field against bacteria, and why this tiny jar in your cupboard is one of the most remarkable substances on Earth. But before we dive in, welcome back to We Knew That. If you're new here, this is the channel where objects and habits turn out to have jaw-dropping stories behind them. Hit that subscribe button right now, because We Knew That drops mind-blowing discoveries like this every single week. Straight? Let's go! To understand why honey lasts forever, we first have to look at the ancient problem of keeping food alive. For most of human history, food was the enemy, not in taste, in time. Imagine having to eat everything within days, or watch it rot. No refrigerators, no freezers, no preservatives in a lab somewhere. You hunt an animal. You have maybe 24 hours before bacteria move in. You harvest fruit? 2 days, maybe 3. You bake bread? A week at most before mold sets up camp. Bacteria and fungi were everywhere, invisible soldiers attacking everything people needed to survive. Civilizations built entire food strategies around this problem. Salt pork, fermented vegetables, dried meat. Everything was a battle against bacteria winning. People watched food die in real time. They'd eat things slightly spoiled just to survive. So when ancient Egyptians and Chinese healers and Greek physicians discovered that honey stayed completely untouched, it wasn't just interesting, it was a miracle. They used it to dress battle wounds, to preserve bodies, to store medicines. But why did it work? Nobody knew. For centuries, it was magic. And then science caught up. Here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. Honey doesn't just survive by accident. It's a killing machine, and it works in 3 brilliant ways. Step 1. The sugar fortress. Think of honey like a desert. Not a dessert, a desert. Honey is roughly 80% sugar, and sugar is hygroscopic. That's a fancy word for it pulls water toward itself. Here's the analogy. Imagine your bacteria trying to move into a new apartment. You need water to survive. Every living thing does. But the moment you step inside this apartment, the walls start stealing the water right out of your body. You literally dry out and die before you can do anything. That's what honey does to bacteria. It doesn't poison them. It dehydrates them out of existence. And because honey has almost zero free water content, around 17% moisture, there's nothing left for bacteria to drink. No water, no life. Full stop. Step 2. The acid shield. But sugar alone isn't the whole story. Honey is surprisingly acidic. It sits around a pH of 3.2 to 4.5. That's close to vinegar. Most bacteria simply cannot survive in that environment. Here's why. When bees collect nectar, they add enzymes from their bodies. One of those enzymes, called glucose oxidase, does something extraordinary. It reacts with the natural sugars in nectar, and it produces 2 things: gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, the same stuff you put on a cut to kill germs, produced naturally, inside every jar of honey. So you've got 0 water, crushing acidity, and a natural antiseptic. 3 defenses, all working at once. Step 3. The sealed time capsule. Now here's the final twist, the one that explains the 3,000-year-old jar. All of those defenses only hold up when honey stays sealed. Because when honey is exposed to air and humidity, that low moisture level climbs, water sneaks in, and suddenly bacteria and yeast have what they need to survive. The Egyptian honey survived because it was sealed in airtight clay pots, buried underground, stable temperature, no moisture. The conditions were perfect for those 3 chemical defenses to hold, and hold they did for 30 centuries. So if water is the enemy, you might be wondering, why does my honey sometimes crystallize or go hard? Great question. That's actually the glucose separating from the liquid. It's not spoiled. It's not bad. Crystallized honey is still perfectly safe. Just warm it gently, and it returns to liquid. Now here's the money angle. The real-world reason this matters today. Honey's antibacterial properties aren't just history. The medical industry uses medical-grade honey, called Manuka honey, to treat wounds that antibiotics can't heal. Yes, honey. On wounds, in hospitals. A jar that costs about $50 at your grocery store contains compounds that modern medicine is still trying to fully replicate. The bee figured it out 80 million years ago. We're still catching up. So next time you find a forgotten jar of honey at the back of your cabinet, don't think of it as old food. You're holding a triple-threat chemical weapon, engineered by bees, over 80 million years of evolution. It's pulling water out of bacteria, flooding them with acid, bathing them in natural hydrogen peroxide, all at once, all the time, without any help from you. That jar isn't outdated, it's indestructible. And that 3,000-year-old Egyptian honey? It wasn't a miracle. It was just chemistry doing what chemistry always does, quietly, perfectly, forever. And that moment when it all clicks? Ah, now we knew. If this changed how you see that little jar in your kitchen, smash that like button. Subscribe to We Knew That for more everyday objects with extraordinary secrets hiding in plain sight. Drop a comment with We Knew That and tell us what object you want us to investigate next. New discoveries every week. See you in the next one.